didn't have a doubt. I've had lots of ups and downs, and I never had a lot of association with Prabhupada, but I just felt that Krishna had answered that request. I'd had that simple request. I would like to know.
In the previous year, Srila Prabhupada had come. We had organized a big festival for him. And he had wanted us to install deities. We had a very small temple at that time. So when we finally secured this building in a very prestigious neighborhood and arranged for the deities to come, and then Srila Prabhupada to come for the installation, it was really a moment of great happiness and auspiciousness and wonderful culmination of years of work doing Sankirtan and so forth in Paris. So I remember walking to the temple that day, and I noticed outside, peering in the windows, was one gentleman. This was a gentleman that had been following our movement for years. When we were in a small apartment, he would come and ask us questions, and he was a Christian. And he would always try and discourage us by telling us, you know, your movement has no hope, the French people won't accept it at all. So very clearly, he was peering in the window, trying to see what was happening. There was a large crowd mulling around outside and inside. And I said, "Oh, you're here." And he was surprised when I said that. And, you know, I caught him looking in the window. And he said, "Oh, how are you?" I said, "Well, I'm fine. What are you doing here?" He said, "I just came to see what you're doing." I said, "Well, what do you think now?" And now, you know, Prabhupada is present, large numbers of devotees in a temple in the prestigious area of Paris. And he was livid. And I said, "Well, you see, Krishna has a big plan for the French people. And now you're seeing it unfold. And it's thanks to you also, because you were always encouraging us." And he almost choked when I said that. I said, "Yes, you were also encouraging, because you kept coming and telling us there's no hope. And every time you said that, that gave us more hope to do something for our spiritual master." So I just left it that. So it was really wonderful walking into the temple and seeing all the fantastic preparations. And I remember, you know, just the sheer ecstasy of chanting Hare Krishna during the whole installation ceremony. All the devotees were very enthusiastic, inspired, and in great state of bliss with the presence of Prabhupada and the installation of Shri Radha Paraseshwara. And the deities were so beautiful. It was like electrifying just seeing them. They were just brilliantly shining and glowing. And every one of the devotees was also glowing.
I'm just remembering back to 1972 in Amsterdam, and Srila Prabhupada was installing Lord Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra. And most devotees know the situation that was occurring at that time. There were a lot of faux pas as far as the fire yagya went. And I was watching Srila Prabhupada install the deities, and I was seeing Prabhupada's concern that the deities be taken care of nicely, that everything be first class for the deities, and unfortunately it wasn't, and Prabhupada became very angry. And I was watching this. There were reporters there were guests, there were devotees. Prabhupada was not even concerned with what they thought. He was concerned that the deities actually be taken care of properly and that everything be first class. And so that incident, along with what happened in Paris, the next year was 1973 when Radha Paraseshwara were installed. I was also there. And everything was first class. The fire yagya was very nicely set up. It was very opulent. Prabhupada was very pleased with that. And just his care and concern for the deities. These two incidents in the beginning of my Krishna consciousness were the foundation for my own deity worship. I mean, I've been engaged in deity worship for over 30 years. And to see Srila Prabhupada personally present, serving the deities, impressed upon me so much how we must always take care of the deities under any circumstance. And I think this is something that I can never forget.
When we received the deities from India, we noticed that it needed a little bit of retouching of the painting. And while I was painting Radharani, I noticed that she had a little spot, brown spot on the white marble. So I wanted to cover that little spot. So I painted over the little brown spot on her cheek. And you see here that Prabhupada is rubbing Radharani's cheek. And the reason is what happened is that when he saw her, she was completely white. And then when Bhagavan poured on her the different oils, the oil made the pain go away. So suddenly he saw the little brown spot appearing. And that's why he is rubbing Radharani's cheek in order to see what's going on. So of course later on, after the deities were installed, I went back to repainting that little part on her cheek and it became white again. Then Prabhupada mentioned two things about Radharani. One was that when we dressed them, we didn't have yet very, very wonderful, nice clothes. We had some very simple clothes that we got from India. And the skirts were falling very flat around Krishna's body and Radharani's body. So Prabhupada told us that the skirts had to be very wide, looking very pretty and very wide. So he said, you should put some sticks underneath to have the skirts open very wide around them. And then he said another thing, which was very surprising to us. He said that Radharani has come to France as the most beautiful French girl, because in the whole world, the girls with the most beautiful faces are the French girls.
During one of the temple kirtans, I had put down my movie camera and picked up a still camera to take pictures. I took a few pictures and then put that down and joined the kirtan. As I was dancing in kirtan, I turned to Prabhupada. He was motioning for me to come over. So I approached the Vyasa-san, and he said something I couldn't understand because of the loud kirtan. So I put my ear very close to Srila Prabhupada's mouth, and I heard the words, "Never put down your camera." Immediately, I ran over to the camera, picked it up, and started taking pictures. And I've tried over the years, although not always successfully, to carry out that order.
During that fire yajna and the bathing of the deities, I was a little bit obsessed with burning frankincense in the yajna. So I kept putting frankincense on cinders, and it caused a lot of smoke. Of course, it was very fragrant smoke and obviously auspicious. But Prabhupada kept looking at me. What am I doing with the fire? I kept continually putting more and more grains of frankincense, so it kept filling the room with fragrant frankincense. And I guess this was my way of sneaking in a yajna of incense as a precursor of my developing the business of spiritual sky. But it certainly led to a very successful business, as well as, of course, the successful installation of the deities.
The temple was not very big, hugely crowded. There were people from the area at the windows outside wondering what on earth is going on.